Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I'm going to be doing yet another movie review. This movie is a thriller from France, French language English subs, released in the year 2016, directed by Hoven, and this film is called Elle. So Elle is about a lady who's a CEO of a gaming company that are about to launch their newest product, so a lot of pressure is on, but we realise that she is capable of handling this pressure, but she doesn't have compassion for those around her. And that is because when she was very, very young, her dad went on a killing spree that resulted in the deaths of 27 people. So over the years he's come into parole hearings, but they've been knocked back. And today there is another parole hearing which puts the family name back in the spotlight. So the family name is not very popular, obviously, and this is why a lot of anger is thrown at this main character, and this is why she's very conceited and she doesn't really have that compassion for others, because she feels as though no one likes her. So she realises that it's her against the world. She has an ex-husband that she's distant from. She has a son who's expecting a baby with his partner, and the woman doesn't like her son's partner, and so she is reluctant to support them financially because the son's very lazy, but she feels that's her obligation, but she's doing it very reluctantly. So it's a very complicated life, and that complicated life is about to become intensified one day when she is sexually assaulted by an intruder in her home. So instead of reporting this, she doesn't trust the police because the police doesn't like the family name. So she takes it upon herself to reveal who this assailant was, and so she's going to take the law into her own hands, and as a result of that, people are going to come away hurt, and nothing is ever going to be the way it was. So what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Elle. This is an incredibly hard film to review. It took me a long time to actually get that synopsis right because it's an incredibly convoluted experience. Now, Paul Verhoeven, he's a household name as far as European cinema is concerned. He's right up there with Michael Haneke and Lars von Trier as far as popularity, but he's definitely a director that didn't come onto my radar. I just didn't really take an interest in this guy. But then I saw Elle, I thought, all right, this has Isabelle Huppert, who plays the main character, who is a fantastic French actress. So that was the enticing point, the fact that Isabelle Huppert was in it. But Paul Verhoeven wasn't really a director that captured my interest. But when I realised what this movie was about, and it had a lot of buzz around the film circuits, and I thought, all right, well, I definitely have to check this movie. And after checking it, as I said, it's extremely convoluted. And there's a lot of aspects that I liked in Elle, but there's some aspects that I didn't quite like. I definitely felt as though Paul Verhoeven bit off a little bit more than he could chew with this. There's a lot of ideas in this movie, and it does take a lot of brain power to really follow what's going on. And I thought as though there's a lot of strong similarities with the Korean film Burning, but what I liked about Burning and what I didn't like about Elle is something I'll go into a little bit later, but there are very strong comparisons in that there is a lot going on and there's a lot of interpretation going on as well. And so that's something I'll discuss a little bit later. But what I liked about Elle was definitely Isabelle Huppert's performance as this main character. To say that this main character is troubled and cruel is definitely an understatement. She was definitely self-centered, she was very selfish and very, very conceited. Always felt like she had a shielder. And this is because of the father in the 1970s. When we actually get clues as to her upbringing, we understand why she's the way that she is. We don't feel sorry for her, we don't condone what she's doing, but we understand who she is and what she's doing. And the evolution of this character I thought was fascinating. And so those around her, the more people can become involved with this woman, the more, the darker things are going to get. And so she's actually impacting other people's lives in a very negative way. And I thought, all right, well, it's a very subtle way, but it's actually quite scary. And so although this main character wouldn't necessarily be called a straight out villain, she does have a very dark presence about her, and everyone that's involved with her is going to fall under that really dark net. And so it is definitely a domino effect of consequences of actions. And I thought as though Isabelle Huppert, that's the reason why it maintained my interest, is because her character was so three-dimensional and she was unravelling, and each time she unravelled I learnt new things about her. And so I thought that was absolutely fantastic. There are elements that concern her best friend and her best friend's husband. As I said, the son and his partner come into it, and so everyone really plays off this central character. Is that you've got the central character, and then the tentacles come from all over the place, and everything just really plays off Isabelle Huppert, and it required a great performance, and that's definitely what it does. It's a very dark film. There's a lot of violence that is actually quite hard to take. and so be very careful of that. It is a very, very disturbing movie, very, very hard to watch. And so again, if you are a fan of extreme cinema, you're going to like Elle. But if you are definitely a part-time movie fan, then the violence in Elle is really going to hit you hard, because it is very realistic and it's very matter of fact. It doesn't glorify it, but it's using it in a way of to evolve this character. And so everything in the movie I felt had a strong purpose, and that purpose again was centering on that main performance of Isabelle Huppert. So the supporting cast, I thought, did a decent job. Everything was satisfactory as far as the script is concerned, as far as the acting was concerned. I thought the story, as I said, the story extremely convoluted, and there were moments that I actually liked. I thought there are very bizarre things that aren't explained. And so a very European way, it actually forces you to think and actually draw your own conclusions. And so it goes for just over 2 hours. And so if you don't have a very high attention span, you're definitely not going to like Elle. But unfortunately, the reason why I didn't quite love it as much as I wanted to is that there are moments that are left up to your interpretation, but there are other moments that are concluded. It gives you closure. And I thought the moments of closure was the reason why I didn't like it as much as Burning. Burning was like making up your own sort of interpretation, and so making up your own view of each character, whereas this movie, some of the characters, it gave it closure, other moments it didn't give it quite as much closure. So I thought as though it was a little bit inconsistent at what it wanted to do. So that wasn't, I didn't really like that, and I thought as though the bizarre quality of this movie, it just threw me out and it confused me a little bit, and I had to stop and just adjust to it and stop and recollect my thoughts. And so that was definitely a little bit too convoluted for its own good, but as I said, the outstanding performance from Isabelle Huppert is enough to make anyone go and watch it if you are a fan of French cinema. I'm going to give Elle 3.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.